Good morning. A warm welcome to everybody. I have a question for you. Have you ever thought of the pressure or the dilemma that a project manager is facing while executing a project because he needs to cope with the expectation of his company? Well, through this video presentation, this coursework, we are checking the dilemma of a project manager. These are my group members, Chandrakumar, Simon, Umar, and Varun. Just have a quick introduction about both the companies mentioned in the case study. IDA, it's a Chinese telecommunication provider. This company was established in 1992, and K, the one who is accepting the software from IDA, it is a Hong Kong-based company and established in 1994. The K-IDA connection, how these both companies are connected to each other. In September 2003, IDA and K signed a $695,000 contract where they have to develop a software, a fee calculation and an account management software system for K because they want to replace their existing software AS400 system. We will look at what went wrong between September 2003 and October 2004. That's a contract time. This is a timeline from in September 2003, the project contract signed between IDA and K, and they have a couple of demonstrations and meetings happen between this time. And in 2004 October, they are still in an uncertain stage that what they need to when this project will end. They're supposed to install the software in June 2004, and until October 2004 they don't have an answer about what exactly the requirement of K, and the scope creeps every time, and we will look into the matter. These are the project failure reasons we have identified from the case study. One is overconfidence, incorrect team, poor planning, inaccurate estimation, poor project management, poor risk stakeholder engagement, poor risk management process, inaccurate and incomplete requirement, lack of leadership, governance, and efficient decision making, unclear vision and goal. How these failure reasons are connected with the case study, we will look into it. Overconfidence. The project manager of IDA, Mrs. Zhang, was too optimistic, and even they have started the work. They have signed the contract without having a proper SOW. SOW is nothing but scope of work. Incorrect team. K's project leader was an outsider. He don't have any kind of acceptance because in the team, because he is in the team because of the special interest of Japanese investor, and both the team depend upon a single person for communication. They have a huge gap in communication. Only single person, he speaks Chinese and English. Rest of the people, they don't have a common language. And non-cooperative and non-enthusiastic attitude of K's IT manager is also a reason that project got failed. Poor planning. As I said, without having a specific SOW or incomplete SOW, they started the work. They signed the contract. The project manager of IDA, he sent his subordinate to get the things done at the first time because he thought it would happen in a way with other local project that he had experienced. It's an international project. It is not in a way that he need to approach. And nobody has a definite answer to case requirement, and scope creeps every time. Inaccurate estimation. Accepted the contract without a specific SOW, as I mentioned in other two failure reasons. Case requirement is an office software, office management system rather than a fee calculation. And IDA is providing a fee calculation. Even minor changes cannot, or minor modification cannot make any kind of effect, because the requirement is why they're needing an office management software. They need to analyze the departmental whole work, they need to generate a feedback, and they need to support their internal working departments of finance and marketing. And case demand of workflow need to be in a single interface. An AHS system has several modules and interfaces. Poor project management. We can see that missed case requirement completely, scope creeps every time, internal conflicts in K, and no clear rule to define the specific responsibility of each department. The contract time is getting over, the contract cost is getting overwhelmed. We can see that 85% of the contract money they have used, and still they are in uncertain stage. now to decide on how to go and what to do next.
Reasons for failure and facts from the case study. Poor stakeholder engagement and communication. This is because of the language barriers. They fail to engage as much as they should have. Poor risk management. The risks are very uncertain because the SOW has not been defined properly in the early stages of the project. Inaccurate and incomplete requirements. Poor scope management and failure to complete necessary documents. A lack of leadership. The vision of the organization was not strong, and that led to a lack of clarity and commitment. Unclear vision and goal. There is no framework to follow a common goal, which led to the failure of EDA.
In this slide, I would like to explain about fishbone analysis of EDA project failure. As the diagram itself shows the overall output, which is EDA's failure. It is mainly caused because of main 4 reasons. First reason is man, second is method or the process that they follow in the company, third reason is environment, and the fourth reason is software. So talking about man firstly, I would like to include communication issues as one of the main drawbacks between the persons in between the leaders, because they haven't had enough communication in between them ever since they have started the project. As they are from different continents as well, and since it is an international project, they haven't used any translator or anything to improve the project and to understand the project up to the level. Coming to next points, we have ulterior motives and internal department issues as well at both the parties. And when you go through method and process which they followed in the company, they haven't used risk registers to follow and to make a track of risk from first to the end of the project, which led to improper risk analysis. And not conducting regular sprint is one of the major drawback as well. As per Prince2, conducting regular sprint will make the project more succeed and to understand the project more clearer. When it comes to not following the auditing process, it again failed in maintaining its own auditor for financial reasons. Not using any translator again is one of the main drawback for lacking of the process and to understand the process as it is. When it comes to environment, simple reasons I would like to include here are lack of leadership, passive attitudes of all the leaders in the at both the parties, and first ever international project is done by EDA, so there is a huge tension which is observed in each and every worker at EDA. And moreover, they have been over optimistic ever since they have started the project. So when it comes to software, most of the resources which they have been used in the project KAE is a lot when compared to the other resources which they have used for the other projects in their own company, which led to the EDA failure ultimately. And they have used new software updates as per the demand from KAE, which led to EDA's failure again. So talking more, we can talk about lack of knowledge on what to be tested, and barely spending resources on extra project sources also led ETA to ultimate failure. The main leadership problems faced on both the sides are not following the principles of the Prince2, which led the SOW problems by Team EDA, which led the entire team of EDA to naivety but not optimism. Incorrect team selection and lack of science recruiting a recruiter, which would have helped their communication issues. Coming to next point, ulterior motives caused internal conflicts between teams and the subordinates, and particularly Zoyo, who is the KAI IT representative. The power struggle between Masako and his coordinates is one of the major problem faced as a leader as well.
Undefined scope of work. Roughly defined scope of work documents sent by IDA to Kaye, not going themselves to understand Kaye requirements and expectations, internal issues between the Kaye members, not being able to nail down one line of scope leading to scope creep, poorly defined expectations.
We look at the different tools that they could have used to avoid failures. Use of Prince2 first and foremost. Had they used Prince2, the continued business case justification principle would have ensured that the incomplete scope of work document that was sent initially would not have been sent. Tailor to suit would have ensured that at least, since this was a unique first of a kind project for them, they could have at least hired a translator to counter the linguistic barriers. Managed by stages principle would have ensured that the work packages were delivered much quicker and much shorter, so that if there was any disagreement, that could have been encountered very quickly. Agile Scrum principles. Agile as a methodology requires more customer engagement. Had there been more sprints and more customer engagements, the different perceptions of the scope of work might have been encountered very quickly and in turn agreed upon quicker as well. 5 whys analysis, again very important tool for identification of root causes. Failure mode and effects analysis, again very useful for identifying and addressing risks once the scope has been identified. Fishbone analysis, again another thing that is very useful while identifying root causes and problems. Pilot stages could have been used to mitigate risks and identify risks before the actual development of the work packages started. Six Sigma process capability and control charts, again very important and useful graphical tools, could have been used to measure statistical variability and upper and lower limits of the historical data that was available in the project. Our recommendations for Kaye CEO: introspect internally first and foremost. Through introspection, try and analyze and address the different internal conflicts in the company itself. There's very clear evidence of the different departmental heads maybe not being on the same page because of various underlying reasons. Have constructive discussions about that and address that. Discuss and address the leadership issue with Masako. Again, if the leader of a project is not able to empathize with his subordinates, it's never a good environment to be in a project. And if the subordinates don't respect the leader enough, there'll never be enough transparency. Get rid of Zhao. The IT project representative in Kaye very clearly has ulterior motives for the project to not succeed, and will never succeed as long as he's there. Address the power struggle with Japanese investors. Maybe there's a power struggle going on with the investors. Had that not been the case, the appointment of Masako might not have happened to begin with. For the project, continue with the project. The internal issues are the main reason why the scope is not being agreed upon. If they are addressed, the project succeeds very quickly, according to us. So much of time and money has already been lost in the project. Stick to the project for a little bit more. It's because all the underlying problems are with Kaye right now. If they are identified and addressed very quickly, the project succeeds very quickly. Recommendations for Yida's CEO: realize and analyze the different steps that led to failure. There were many reasons why the project failed, even from Yida's side, at least initially. Address Zhang's managerial flaws. There were many complacency issues with the project manager, at least initially. Again, project manager is a very important leadership role, and Zhang himself realized had he gone to Hong Kong much earlier, he would have got to know about how things are done in Kaye, which would have suited the project much better. Ensure communication barriers aren't a problem in international projects. Again, first international project for them, they should realize different countries, different languages are spoken, have a translator at least. For the project itself, get rid of the project as soon as possible. There's no signs of the main root causes being rectified. May that be with the leadership issues, or may that be with the agreement of scope with the different stakeholders. Forget the sunk costs. They can't be recovered anyway. Reallocate all the resources that are being wasted in the project. They'll be wasted even in the future should they continue with the project. These are the steps that can be taken to execute the recommendations we've suggested for Kaye. Maybe firstly hire a Prince2 expert who is a practitioner himself for easier implementation since they're new to the methodology. Staff training and workshops for both Agile and Prince2 principles since they are new to both of them. Formulate different key performance indicators. KPIs are a very good way to indicate how well you are doing a project or how lagging are you in a particular department or an area in the project. Have external financial auditors. Having an external opinion that isn't influenced by any ulterior motive is always a help. Hiring of multilinguistic staff, again, very important. Should JIDA see themselves doing international projects again, since it was a very big problem in the current project. Hiring quality experts for implementation. Again, the various tools that we've suggested, FMEA analysis, 5 whys techniques, all of them require good understanding of the quality techniques themselves. Recommendations for CAE, again, have staff training and workshops, discussions to resolve the internal conflicts in the company. Otherwise, no project can succeed as long as no common ground is reached by the internal stakeholders. Ensure intrinsic motivation, a very important lean principle, very apparent, especially in Zhao's case. If the employees aren't intrinsically motivated enough, the output will never be good.